Pressure system. The units of measurement 1 millibar equals 1 hectopascal equals 27 feet at sea level. A mercury barometer is a basic instrument to measure atmospheric pressure. An aneroid barometer is a more compact means of measuring atmospheric pressure. A barograph is the tool used to portray pressure tendencies on paper. Isobars are lines joining places of the same pressure tendencies. The troposphere. The lowest assumed temperature is minus 56.5 degrees Celsius. The ISA environmental lapse rate is the average of all the measured environmental lapse rates. The ELR is minus 1.98 degrees per 1,000 feet, or minus 0.65 degrees Celsius per 100 meters. An easy way to calculate metric lapse rates is to divide the more well-known imperial lapse rates by 3. Ozone. Ozone is a toxic gas, but in the higher atmosphere has a protective role. Ozone protects the Earth from overexposure to UV light. The main layer of ozone is found in the stratosphere. 1 hectopascal equals 27 feet. The formula for deriving this is height equals 211.1 multiplied by the temperature in Kelvin multiplied by the log of the pressure at one altitude divided by the pressure at another altitude. For example, the pressure at sea level is 1013 and 1 hectopascal above this will be 1012. Divide these by each other and take the logarithm of it and multiply by sea level temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, but add 273 to get Kelvin. Then multiply this by 211.1 and the answer that you should get is very close to 27 feet. This is for that 1 hectopascal change from 1013 to 1012. You can use this formula for any part in the atmosphere. Pressure settings. QFE is the atmospheric pressure read from a barometer on an airfield which gives aerodrome pressure. QNH is the barometric pressure at the airfield reduced to mean sea level using the ISO temperature at the airfield. QFF is the barometric pressure at the surface reduced to mean sea level using the actual temperature at the surface. QNE is the height indicated on landing at an airfield when 1013 is set on the altimeter. RPS, regional pressure setting, is a forecast valid for 1 hour of the lowest QNH in any part of the region. 1013.25 hectopascal equals 29.92 inches of mercury. Converting QFE to QNH. QFE is the atmospheric pressure read from a barometer on an airfield which gives aerodrome pressure. QNH is the barometric pressure at the airfield reduced to mean sea level using the ISO temperature at the airfield. Wind on hectopascals, wind on height. Wind off hectopascals, wind off height. QFF and QNH. For stations above mean sea level, which are hotter than ISA, QFF will be less than QNH. If colder than ISA, QFF will be greater than QNH. For stations below mean sea level, where the temperatures are hotter than ISA, QFF will be greater than QNH, and if colder than ISA, QFF will be less than QNH. A way of remembering this is the HF table. Hot and high forms the first box, which is HF, H above the F in the table. Then play a game of opposites. Hot, cold, high, low, HF, FH, FH, HF. The H stands for QNH and the F stands for QFF. Orographic low pressure. If the wind is blowing against an obstruction, such as a mountain, the pressure above the mountain summit will be lower. Pressure levels with altitude. At sea level, the pressure is 1013 hectopascals. Pressure decreases with altitude. A nice anchor point is flight level 300, which is also 300 but hectopascals. The other values are more difficult to remember, but should be learnt. Flight level 100 is 700 hectopascals, for example, and flight level 340, where most significant weather charts are depicted, is 250 hectopascal. Pressure systems. A pressure system which is known as a high is an anticyclone, and the direction of wind is clockwise around it in the northern hemisphere. A low is known as a cyclone, with a wind direction that is anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, the systems are still known as high and low, with high being an anticyclone, but the wind direction is now anti-clockwise, and the low is still known as a cyclone, but the wind direction is clockwise. Low pressure systems. A low pressure system is also known as a depression. Isobars. An isobar on a meteorological chart joins all places having the same QNH.